And yes, I'm touching my face. The theme to Superman?
I can't do that part even on my phone with I.
Okay. That's fine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, as Dependable Waste Services presents On the Spot with David Rodgers, the live Facebook interactive show where you, the viewer, has total input on topics of discussion regarding any subject that includes commenting, talking, or debating with each other. You control and run this show. We are just the rudder that steers this big old ship. This is a show that is wide open with no limits as we bring it to you first. We discuss breaking news, politics, and business, sports, and other pertinent stories that affect our everyday lives. We serve the regional area to include Stark, Lake Butler, Keystone Heights, Palatka, Gainesville, Waldo, Lulu, where I seen Michael Heater's stepsister the other day running through there, Melrose, Brooker, Hampton, Middleburg, Jacksonville, and other surrounding areas. If there's a story to be dissected or reported, On the Spot is the first to handle it. We also discuss happenings in Florida as well as Georgia and other southeastern states. But now, let me introduce the show team, the guys who bring the move to the groove. First, behind the controls with the video and audio is our senior producer, Mr. Command and Control, the big dog, the good-looking one, our executive producer, Super Dave Daredevil Holland. Say hello, David.
Thank you, everybody.
There you go. Behind the scenes is our director, Michael the Dragon Slayer Heater. Say hello, Michael.
Good evening, folks.
There you go. And behind the scenes providing us with up-to-date information, our man with all things weather, Austin Storm Chaser Stevens. Say hello, Austin.
Good evening, everyone.
All right. And now my co-host, to my left, the historian and governmental whiz on all things, national and international, Byron, the one who helps keep our freedom and rights Bagwell.
Good evening, infidels.
And to my right, with local news and breaking information, Mitchell, the American scout and your lookout on terrorism and anything else that does not belong or looks out of place, Gunter.
That's right. Good afternoon, everyone.
There you go. And I'm your host, Mr. David Rodgers, the voice of the Bradford Tornadoes and
The show pony.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you live from the Bradford County Sheriff's Office, and we want to thank our host, Sheriff Gordon Smith, and his great emergency management staff for their hospitality. Just a reminder about the new and improved ADO. Mitchell, what does ADO stand for?
Audience-driven overtime.
So you, the viewer, has your say. Anytime a story hits near and dear to the hearts of our viewers, or you have any questions or comments, we jump right into ADO. This allows you, the viewers, to have complete control of our show while giving everyone equal opportunity to have their voices heard. And now, before we dive into the show, it's time to recognize our sponsors who have changed hours and set up due to the current local state of emergency, but continue to serve the public as best as they can. Starting with our very own Dave Holland and the rest of the fantastic team at Harry Business, home of the $8 haircut, located in the Deerfoot Village. Open 7 days a week with modified hours now, 10 to 3, Wednesday through Saturday, and 12 to 4 on Sunday. Currently closed right now on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Miracle Automotive Towing in Stark and McClenny. Don't pray for a miracle, call Miracle at 904-368-1114. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for all of your towing and automotive needs.
Hey, and speaking from experience, I had to call a miracle.
Did ya?
This past week. Water pump went out on the car. They came right over to Gainesville and picked me up and took me to the house.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. How about that? There you go. Hey, Miracle Towing right on the
I think
spot.
they've worked on all of our vehicles.
They have.
How about Williams Jewelry of Stark? Open with modified afternoon hours by appointment. Be sure to call ahead for amazing deals on beautiful items.
That's right. How about that one, Byron?
Yeah, on-the-spot lawn maintenance. Let the red, white, and blue take care of your green. We have your gutters and your pressure washing covered and all sorts of yard maintenance needs. Find us on Facebook or call 904-966-1633, and that would be the show pony.
That's it. There you go. Service First Mobile Small Engine Repair in McRae. Let Chuck Scarberry come to you. Call 904-703-5136 to schedule an appointment.
Hey, Schuster and Sabin Law Firm out of Jacksonville, Florida. If you've been injured in a car accident, visit www.piplaw.com.
There you go. How about Mike Qualls and Lazy Q Productions? If you need a jingle for your jangle or a catchphrase for your business, you can contact Mike Qualls with Lazy Q Productions.
I need a jingle for my jangle.
There you go.
Yep.
How about that?
And last but certainly not least, North Jacksonville Complete Dentistries with Dr. Johnson and Baxter. They've got all of your dental needs covered, located conveniently on Dunn Avenue in Jacks. Call Dan Baxter at 904-751-4958 and mention On the Spot and get 10% off.
So 10% off on my grills that I'm getting next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to look like Tupac next week.
Oh, so you're
Two-pack
going
of what?
Tupac!
You
Pack of
going?
what?
you
Not
going-
Tupac.
So you're going with the gold?
I'm going with the gold.
I will go platinum, man.
All right. What are you going?
Back home.
All
I
right,
don't
there
need a
you go.
grill.
If you would like to become one of our sponsors, email the team
Other than
at
I got
on
the
the
house to make
spot
food on.
at on the spot 32091 at gmail.com. I thought your belly was full.
Oh, it is.
All
but
right.
I'm full of some.
Now it's time to get
Full of
started with our prayer, pledge, and patriotic quote of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, if we could please bow our heads. You know what? You did such a wonderful job on our prayer tonight. Why don't you do our prayer for tonight and open us up?
Dear Heavenly Father, we would like to thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed us, our lives, our liberties, and our freedoms. Please put a hedge of protection over everyone during these trying times. Keep everyone safe from this coronavirus. Please remember all of our armed forces as they are fighting this also. Keep our first responders and our police in your mind. They are fighting this also. Also, keep a special hedge of protection over the ones that are truly on the front line of this, and that is our medical staff that we have in this great country. The respiratory therapists, the nurses, the doctors. Please watch over them and watch over their family. Please take care of all of our families and all of your families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, if we can please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to ask Mr. Austin Stevens if he would start us off with our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you, Austin. All right, and now we're going to have our patriotic quote of the week. Mr. Byron Bagwell, which usually has our patriotic quote. What do you have for us tonight, sir?
Freedom is not a gift bestowed upon us by other men, but a right that belongs to us by the laws of God and nature.
And who said that, sir?
That would be my great
Right, that's right.
grandfather,
Right.
Benjamin Franklin.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right, tonight we change it up with Saturday Night Quick and Dirty Sports Report. That's who we're going to start it off with tonight. Brought to you by On the Spot Lawn Care. Let the red, white, and blue take care of your green. And we're going to delve right into it. But just before we get to that, I want to thank everybody for joining in tonight on the Spot with David Rodgers. We're going to try and get to all and each and every one of your comments and any questions that you have. We will try to answer them the best that we can. If we don't have the answers, we have some great guys back here. We've got Mr. Michael Heater, who can do some research, may know the answer. We've got Austin Stevens. We've got Dave Holland, and we've got us up here. If we don't have the answer, I guarantee you we will find it. We will put it on our page, or we will bring it to you next Tuesday night when we do our next show at 7 p.m. right here from the EOC. So, no question. Somebody said, Well, I don't feel like asking that. There ain't no question that's ever too dumb.
Where's
Right.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Well, that one is dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is dumb there. So, but anyway, no. There is no question that's dumb, ladies and gentlemen. The only dumb question is the one that you don't ask. Because, hey, it not only may be important to you, but it could be important to another viewer that's watching. You never know. Yesterday, we came live from here, from the Bradford County Sheriff's Office, the OC room. We did a Bradford County press conference that we held. We moderated it. I want to thank all the officials that came to that as well. Our sheriff, Gordon Smith, our interim county manager, Rachel Roden, our county commissioner, Chris Daugherty came. The superintendent of schools, Stacy Creighton, came. We also had Sherry Alvarez that came here. And I also want to thank our sign language interpreter, Miss Priscilla Lowe. She did a wonderful job, excellent job last night. So want to thank everybody that was involved with that. But before we really get to this part of the sports, I want to start off with, because, we've been talking about this coronavirus, want to lighten it up a little bit. We are going to talk about that and several other things. But I want to get our man with all weather, everything that he knows about weather. That's Mr. Austin Stevens. Good afternoon, Mr. Austin Stevens. Thank you for joining us live in the studio. I know you've been on special assignment doing some things. Give us a weather report, please.
Well, I've been gone for practically 21 days. I was on vacation for half of that time. Now the weather, I have came back with some good news. The beneficial rain will be coming back. Our rain season will be starting this week. I'm looking at least 5 days of rain. Starting off tonight, partly cloudy skies with lows around 60. Tomorrow, it will be partly cloudy with a 50% chance of showers. High 76 to 80. Tomorrow night, it will be partly cloudy, then becoming mostly clear after midnight. Low 59 to 64. Monday will be mostly sunny in the morning, then becoming partly cloudy with highs of 83 to 87. Monday night, it'll be partly cloudy with lows of 63 to 67. And on Tuesday, there will be a 20% chance of thunderstorms with daytime highs 83 to 87 and nighttime lows of 63 to 67. You can expect your pollen count to stay about average at 10.3 out of 12.0.
Thank you, Austin, for that weather service. Speaking of pollen, that just got me right there. But anyway, thank you for that.
You sure it wasn't the coronavirus?
Well, I don't know. They checked my temperature. I'm pretty good right now, but that doesn't mean I'm not carrying, right?
True. I've been in quarantine for 21 days.
That's exactly right. So, want to make sure that we get to our weather report as we have. I want to get to our comments. So
I have a comment for me, please.
Oh God,
or a question.
You good?
Yeah, he's choking me up over here. Good grief.
These things cost a lot of money these days.
Those things are worth gold.
Yeah, with a Chinese woman buying up everyone
them
up,
all
and
up.
wherever Wuhan, China, or wherever she is.
Used.
You may be able to. How about that, huh? Nobody will ever know his shoes, Mitchell.
Oh,
Just spray Lysol in and sell them.
guys, I really do have a serious question for him.
Okay.
All the cutting up
That's
joking
right.
aside, which we really truly need right now. Please tell me that with all of this rain, the pollen count's going to go down.
Yeah, good question.
It will to a certain degree, as we got too many oak trees around here, and the oak pollen is at a very high level. It will drop it down into the single digits, but I'm not expecting it to drop really significantly low.
As long as it's not up in the double digits anymore, I'm great.
But because you're still in April, May is when we start seeing it drop.
Yeah.
And then speaking of May and June, I want to get into another thing. Hurricane season. We're expecting a above average hurricane season. The normal average hurricane season is at a 52% of a hurricane hitting the United States. It is now sitting at 69%. However, I do not need anyone panicking. If you want to get the latest on the hurricane details for the Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, and Caribbean Sea, you can join the Austin's Weather Service Hurricane Center any time of the year. The group is now active starting April 1st. We are also going to start looking for volunteers for Austin's Weather Service starting May 1st.
What does that entail, Austin?
That entails if you have any experience in forecasting or severe weather management or anything like Michael Heater. He's part of Austin's Weather Service. He's very great at the hurricane management when I'm not around. Thank you, Michael. And on top of that, if you can monitor comments, messages, or just help out around the page, we're looking for help.
And then where can they find that, Austin?
You can go to www.facebook.com/Austin's Weather Service, or you can email Austin's Weather Service at austinsweatherservice@gmail.com, or I will have the number posted in the comments for the Austin's Weather Service business line.
Can we get George Bush to turn on his weather machine?
Maybe.
No!
Yeah, we want to get
No.
George Bush to turn on his weather machine and blow it right on up north to that bastion of liberal stupidity that Cuomo's controlling right now.
I hear you. Well, we're going to stay off of that for a moment. We're going to stay off of that for a moment. Again, we're going to get right into our sports right here. I want to start off with our local sports report here. As of right now, all sports pretty much in the state of Florida has either been postponed or canceled. All spring sports for sure have been canceled for the most part. This is at the high school level. I can actually speak for Bradford County. We've heard it from not only the sheriff, we heard it from our superintendent of schools, Ms. Creighton, that all has been canceled. So there you go. Thank you. Is that somebody telling me to wash my hands?
Somebody telling you please use hand sanitizer.
Belly hand sanitizer. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, Mitchell wearing his mask. But, yes, all those sports have been canceled. Football is still up in the air right now. I do know that they have the schedule out right now. It is pretty well intact, but we don't know when any practices are going to be starting with that. As I say, it could be upwards of June, July, possibly even August. Somebody says, well, I can't have my team ready to go in 2 weeks. You know what I've told them, Byron and Mitchell? All of y'all are starting off on the same playing field, same level. Just, hey, everybody's going to have 2 week preparation time, whatever that may be, if that's the case. So I hear a lot of coaches, a lot of players going, man, we really can't have our season because I don't have this much preparation time. It doesn't matter. You all start off at the same playing field, same level. You're all going to get 2 weeks. If you can't have your team ready in 2 weeks, I don't know what to tell you, except you're still going to have to play the games, and just good luck with your season, huh?
Well, he used to have a lot less preparation.
Absolutely.
And he used to play 2 ways.
He
used to win football games with it. So
right.
Do what you got to do. That's part of if you're a football player
right.
or a coach, that's part of what you do. So
yeah.
Do what you need to do.
So
and put the best product you can out there.
That's all you can do.
We're going to come watch it after this. I promise you.
Yes, we are.
I promise you, we are going to watch football after this.
Yeah, in any kind of sport right now. I do know that President Trump is going to meet with all the heads of all the agencies, from Major League Baseball to NBA to the NFL to the XFL to the colleges. Everybody they're going to meet, try to figure out when they can get sports back on track. That'll be a number and a date that I will post to you later on once that's all been determined. But he is supposed to meet with all those individuals to find out when these sports are supposed to get into back into action. But
a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
We're going to talk about sports, and this is something that I haven't heard in a while. Have you heard anything on the NCAA tournament? They totally canceled it?
Okay, yes, I'm glad you asked that. You're talking about March Madness, and you do know that this weekend they were supposed to play the semifinals, and then on Monday they were supposed to play the championship game. That's for both men and women.
Right.
The men were the women were going to play Sunday and Tuesday, and the men were going to play Saturday and Monday. Right. So all those games have been canceled. Some people, again, it's up to you if you filled out your bracket. I heard 4 experts say that they thought Florida State would be the national champions. Now, I don't know. That's they've got a great team. They had a great team. That team will no longer be, of course, because they're not giving those guys an extra year of eligibility, which brings me to a point. Baseball, softball, track and field, there's like 13 or 14 or 15 sports that are spring sports that will be have eligibility again. So, in other words, because they just started their season, they didn't get to complete their season, the NCAA has granted them either like a medical red shirt or another season to come back and play. Now, here's a caveat to all that. The caveat is, how about these incoming freshmen that, let's say, your coach, Florida, the number 1 team in the country, the only loss was to us. that one particular night. Finally got him on one time, Byron. But let's just say that he has a bunch of incoming freshmen now, but he's got a bunch of juniors that hasn't played the whole season. But those juniors are good enough to go into the Major League Baseball draft, which that Major League Baseball draft now is going to be shortened. Instead of 30-something rounds, it's going to be like 7 rounds. Right. So what happens to those numbers? Does Coach Sullivan go, hey, let me gamble and let me bring these guys back, let them play their season because they are entitled by the NCAA? Does he say, hey, man, go try? Maybe I'll put you in the transfer portal if you want to transfer somewhere to go play somewhere else.
I look for him to try to hold on to him.
I do as well. I think most of the teams are going to try to hold on to their players, and they're just going to filter in. Instead of having maybe a 25-man roster now, you may have a 36-man roster. Right. It's just going to happen. That'll eventually you know what I'm saying, subside in years to come as, maybe 2 or 3 years as those numbers start getting back even. You know what I'm saying? So you'll have an over-influx number of players in all these sports, but eventually attrition, if you want to call it that, attrition will eventually eat that up. So in 2 or 3 years, it'll all be back to normal as long as society gets back to normal. And we're still waiting to see if that's the case and when the case is. I do believe society is going to get back to normal. I do believe that we're going to be back to playing sports. We're going to be back to going to concerts. We're going to be back going to do all the things that we do. I don't know in what way. I don't know how it's going to be done.
In the same way that we were doing it before.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm hoping that.
In the same way we were doing it before.
Well, we'll see, Byron. I said that about two.
We had enough about that with 9/11. Now we're going to go back and do even more stuff now because we're scared of a virus that happens all the time. Look, guys, this is not good, but it's also not something that's not normal. We had this virus, a strain of this virus, about 12 years ago. It's called SARS.
Right.
It's another form of the coronavirus.
Right.
We've had the swine flu. We've had Zika. We've had MERS. All in the last 20 years, we've had those 4 viruses, and we have not changed our lifestyle habits, with the exception of the event of 9/11, which some of that should have been done anyway. But now we're going to go back and change stuff. We're hearing all of this. We need everybody to relax. Mm-hmm. If the government starts doing that, we need to all get together.
And that's what I'm saying.
We're not going to do that because this happens all the time. The Spanish flu that killed more people in this modern age than almost anything else is still around. It's part of the flu viruses that we still have around, and they figured out a way to solve your problem with the Spanish flu. They will figure this out too. There's already 2 drugs they're using in combination that makes the recovery much quicker, and actually people that are dying, just to let you know.
Yeah.
And that's we need to go back to doing what we do normally.
Right. And that's exactly right. And
speaking of sports, I'll give you an example of what NHRA is trying to do right now. They will try to start their season back over at Gainesville in June. And a lot of these races that they go to are usually 4-day events. They are shrinking that and trying to get everything done in 2-day events.
Right.
The race for Atlanta has been totally canceled. So what they're going to do for the sportsman guys, since they was able to finish up sportsman for the Gator Nationals, they're going to have the guys who were entered into Atlanta's event to come down and race again at Gainesville Raceway when they start back, if they're able to race in June.
Right.
If not, then they are put on the schedule to come back in, I believe, September.
Right.
The month of September. And they're going to lengthen their season a little bit, and they're going to do away with the chase points. Right. So you won't have, after so many race events, then you have the chase for 5 or 6 events. They're going to totally do away with them and just run off the points that they actually will gain in this time. So they're trying to do that. NASCAR, they're hanging on as well to see when they can get back to normal. But one thing I like about what's going on with NASCAR, they're doing the iRace. You can watch it on Fox. Yes, it's like a bunch of drivers playing a video game, but it's pretty realistic. The first race, you've seen a lot of wrecks and stuff like that, but these drivers have actually got into these rigs. That's what they call them, is rigs. And they have done a lot of practicing, and it has turned, last race was very entertaining.
Right.
And I tell you what, those rigs are not cheap.
No.
But it does help those drivers to develop while they're sitting at the home. And I know my nephew, he's got one. He races on iRace, and it's very competitive, and they don't put up with no bull. You go on there and you start wrecking a lot of people, they can black flag you. They can put you on probation and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty strict. You have to race on that game just like you would race on the track.
Right.
Or you can get black flagged or have discipline. So
and
it's
again,
pretty neat.
And that's the motorsports there. And again, I want to get back to our football and baseball and everything. Again, if you just now joining in on the spot with David Rodgers, all spring sports collegiately will have an extra year of eligibility. That's baseball, softball, swimming, and diving. Those track and field, all those events, water polo, all that will have another year's worth of eligibility. Somebody asked me about basketball. Basketball is considered a winter sport. Sorry about that. Their season happened to end on a sour note. Unfortunately, there's no March Madness. There is no Final Four this weekend. So what a shame for those seniors. They're never going to get that back. But some of them will go on to use their degrees as planned and do some great things. And also some of those kids are going to be able to go play in the pro level because we're still going to have all our drafts, and I'm going to get into that here in just a second.
You know what they should do? You know, when they had similar situations like this with football, you have to do a coin flip, and especially in high school to win a championship. Why don't they do coin flips between all those teams until they get their Final Four? Have a coin flip for the final two, and there's your champion.
I've heard that. That's a great deal there, or a great thought. You could do that, and that's exactly right. So, wanted to get into the NFL a little bit. Like I said, President Trump is meeting with all these particular heads of these major sports. Adam Silver of the NBA, Roger Goodell of the NFL, and the other presidents of all these other leagues as well, trying to come up with something that is that will work for everybody and get sports back into play. And believe it or not, if you're living in the Ice Age, sports drives a lot of our economy. Man, I'm telling you right now, a huge part of our economy with all these major teams and all these sporting events that we're used to going to. So not only is the business side of end of that is hurting, but the sports side as well. They employ a lot of people besides pro athletes.
Right.
They employ ticket salespeople. They employ food service, janitors, security.
Right.
They employ all that. So
people who work on the field.
That's exactly right.
All the sports memorabilia and uniforms and everything else that they make.
Think of all these people like Adidas and Nike and
Nike
Reebok and Under Armour. All these businesses are affected by it as well, because not only do they support football, but they support baseball and all different types of
Somebody asked me what the transfer portal is. I'll explain it to you as best as I can for you. The transfer portal started, it's been around, but they called it the transfer portal for the last couple of years. What that is for college athletes that have graduated and got their degree and are working on their master's degree. They are eligible to transfer and play right away at another university. Let's just say Byron Bagwell played at Mercer University, and Byron wants
4 years of eligibility, by the way.
Do you? No, you got 5 now. Okay. So because you get your medical, what they call the medical red shirt, but it's actually a red shirt where you can transfer. But anyway, Brian's got his degree in music from Mercer University. Well, he knows that Byron plays wide receiver. Byron knows there's an opening at Florida State where he can go in there and play wide receiver at Florida State. So Byron goes and transfers to Florida State, And shut it up, Michael Heater. But anyway, he can go down there and he can play.
I can run patterns. I'm not fast.
How about Waterboy?
Well, I'm trying to,
Waterboy good.
Gentlemen, let's stay on topic. I'm trying to keep it right. So anyway, wide receiver. You're playing the slot man. You know there's a slot position open at Florida State. You can transfer to Florida State and play right away if you can get the job. Did you know that?
Yeah.
In the transfer portal. That's what the transfer portal is all about. And it don't have to be just that. It could be from Division I, Division II, Division III, Division I AA. You can do it in any one of those, and you go to any team if you can get on. But you have to be a graduate. If you're not a graduate or have your degree, and let's say you want to transfer as a freshman, you have to have some kind of medical issue at home, something going on, somebody sick in the family. It has to be a good, legitimate reason to be able to transfer. Let me give you a guy that did exactly that, and that's the quarterback at Ohio State. That was at Georgia, and that's Justin Fields. Justin Fields was a freshman. He transferred to Ohio State. He cited some different things. There were some issues there going on with some racial slurs, some things like that, and he was able to transfer. So that's why he got to play as a freshman pretty much at Ohio State. So that's the only way in the transfer portal that can work. Wow. So I want to get into a little bit of the NFL real quick. The draft is coming up on April the 25th, and we have free agency going on right now. Yay. Gentlemen, who is the biggest free agent signing of this year's free agency?
Unique Ngakoue.
No.
Oh.
Cam Newton.
No. Who is the whole overall? Who?
Brady.
There you go, Mr. Tom Brady. Where's he going to, Mitchell?
Tampa Bay Bucks.
Do you know he signed a 2-year, $51 million deal?
I think what they're going to do is go from 7-9 to 8-8.
Nope. I'll tell you what I think they're going to do. I think they're going from 7-9 to 11-5.
No, I don't think so.
What do you think?
That depends on if that line can protect him. If that line can protect him with those wide receivers, that's very possible.
So I just want to go over a few right here. Some of the most notable NFL free agents. Larry Fitzgerald signed back with the Arizona Cardinals, and they picked up a nice wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. He's was a Texan. Now he is
he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
Yes, he is. In exchange for running back David Johnson, as well as a 2020 second-round pick and fourth-round pick.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I don't understand that at all.
I don't either.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
Right. So, are we an audience-driven overtime? Ding. Ding, ding. We're an audience-driven overtime, ladies and gentlemen, in our sports section. My name is David Rodgers, right along with Byron Bagwell, right along with Mitchell Gunner, right along with Austin Stevens, Dave Holland, and Michael Heater. We're going to continue on. Todd Gurley, the running back that used to play for the Rams, is now a Falcon. He signed a 1-year deal, Michael Heater, worth $6 million. How about that? All right. Calais Campbell. He is now a Baltimore Raven, defensive end. This burns Byron up and burns me up too. He is traded from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Ravens signed him for a 2-year deal, $27 million. Well, how about that?
That is a typical NFL trade, though.
It is.
Because Calais Campbell is getting older.
Yeah, no, what I'm mad about is that the Jaguars traded him off right here when I think they had something going that they could put together this season. Well, I really do.
They're destroying everything that Tom Coughlin did is
right.
what they're doing.
Right.
Because we have all-star.
Me and Byron Bagwell plays Fantasy Football League, and this was one of our wide receivers. Wide receiver Stephon Diggs. He played with the Vikings, is now a Buffalo Bill. Yep, sure is. So good pickup for them guys. They did a pretty good right there. Teddy Bridgewater, the backup quarterback for the Saints, is now a Carolina Panther. He signed, yes, sir, he signed a 3-year, $63 million contract. $33 million of that is guaranteed. So good luck for Teddy Bridgewater. So that left what Michael Heater just said. Cam Newton is one of the top free agents still left out there with no team to go to right now.
The top free agents back.
Yes. Let's see here. The Chicago Bears acquired Nick Foles, the quarterback from the Jacksonville Jaguars, in exchange for a 4th-round pick. And that is a good pickup for them.
I think it is too.
And let me tell you what else. Right along with him came Jimmy Graham, tight end. And I cannot believe the Green Bay Packers let him go. To play in the same division, man, that may come back to haunt you. So a couple of good pickups there. Cincinnati Bengals, Dave, I don't have much for that except they still suck. Nothing major on them.
They still suck.
Yeah, Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, besides what they already had, picked up Casey Keenum to back up.
Case Keenum?
Yeah, to back up Baker Mayfield, unless he takes the job. That's a possibility. He could. Casey Keenum could take that job. He could. He could. And they picked up one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, Kevin Johnson. Cornerback agreed to a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. Let's get on to the Dallas Cowboys. Anthony Brown, cornerback, signed a 3-year deal worth $15.5 million. You know who else they got? Clinton Ha Dix. You know him?
Clinton Dix, yep.
Yeah, Clinton Dix. You know that, right? It's Ha.
It's about as bad as he hates.
Yeah, he hate me. Yeah, he signed a 1-year deal worth $4 million. Amari Cooper, wide receiver, 5-year, $100 million deal. Y'all are loading up, son. Good grief, y'all are loading up.
You got Dak Prescott signed?
Yep, you got Gerald McCoy, the defensive tackle. You got Dak Prescott, who just re-signed. And you just signed Greg Zuerlein, one of the best kickers in the NFL right there. Y'all are loading
and that's
up.
Something that we needed
Y'all
for a
did.
while. Now, the other guy that stepped in, I think he done a pretty fair job
Right.
for Dallas. He was pretty accurate as
Yep.
long as he was within 40 yards.
Right.
But we need one of those kickers that can go out there and knock down some
Zuerlein
50
can
plus.
do it too.
Yes,
So,
Zuerlein can.
I think we're going to be in great shape there.
Yeah, we should have took him as our kicker. Melvin Gordon, running back. The Broncos acquired him from the L.A. Chargers. 2-year deal, $16 million. And the Detroit Lions, they signed Chase Daniel, quarterback. He played at Missouri. And besides that, they still suck. Oh, well, no, they still got Desmond Trufant and a couple of boys there, but they still suck. Green Bay Packers, Mercedes Lewis, your boy right there. Tight end, re-signing with the Packers on a 1-year deal. And Devin Funchess, wide receiver, signed a 1-year deal. The Houston Texans acquired from Green Bay Randall Cobb, wide receiver, 3-year deal, $27 million, David.
Great,
How about
great
that?
player.
Yes, he is.
Done really great for Dallas.
Yep.
Last year. Hate to see him go.
Yep.
But you can't hold on all of them guys. No. You got that salary cap, so.
All righty. I'm going to tell y'all a player right here that y'all will know really well. If you're a Florida Gator fan, Vernon Hargraves III, signed as a cornerback for them as well. Agreed to term with the Texans. And guess what? Another defensive tackle that played at Florida State, a real good one, Tim Jernigan, just signed with them. He was on the 2013 national championship team. He was. Oh, my God, yes. They signed former Alabama quarterback A.J. McCarron as well. Wow. They did a lot of signing. And Jalen Watkins, another defensive back as well. So a lot of moves for the Texans. The Colts, how about this? They signed DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle, acquired in a trade with the 49ers. So picked them up a good defensive tackle there. They signed ex-Florida State cornerback Xavier Rhodes on a 1-year, $3 million deal.
Really?
Yes, they did.
Really?
Yes, they did.
I thought Xavier Rhodes. No, that's never mind.
You're thinking of, you're thinking of the Rhodes Scholar, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll get into that. Yeah.
He's a brain surgeon or something.
Yeah. Yes. Myron Roll.
Myron Roll. Yeah.
Yep. Phillip Rivers from the Chargers signed with the Colts. That's going to boost them up right there already. Dangerous.
Really dangerous.
Yes.
That
offensive line.
But the thing is about Phillips Rivers is
his age.
He's starting to get up there. Mm-hmm. He's pretty much getting near the end of his career.
Yes.
And I would like to see him go out with a couple of good seasons.
I would too.
He's
a good
quarterback.
They've got a good defense, and they've got a great offensive line, and they've got good wide receivers. I think he's going to be a little bit better than a good year this year.
Yeah. Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's what they did. Tyler Eifert. They signed a tight end, Tyler Eifert,
That's a great
from the Cincinnati Bengals.
great
Yeah,
pickup.
great pickup.
Sorry.
Rodney
I've been
Gunner,
the evil
Mitchell
eye.
Gunner, Mitchell Gunner's brother. They signed Rodney Gunner, defensive lineman. If you put Mitchell Gunner and Rodney Gunner side by side, they're twin brothers from different mothers. How about that? Yep, they'll look exactly alike.
Yeah, he's a little taller than me.
Yes, he is. We got Rashawn Melvin, a great pickup at a corner right there. So great pickup by the Jaguars there. And Al Woods, he signed as well. Al Woods, defensive tackle, signed. He played with the Jets. So
Shatley
yep,
resigned.
Yep, and Shatley resigned as well. And we're probably going to have a good draft because of all the number 1 draft picks that we got.
3?
3 of them right off the bat.
Right now.
Yes.
If they do what they're talking about doing with Unique Ngakoue, it's going to be
Right.
4 number 1 draft picks.
Yep.
And you're missing the linebacker that we got from the Cleveland Browns.
Do you
Well,
think they
yeah,
made
and they don't have him on here yet, but yeah, you're exactly right. That led the league in tackles.
I can't remember
Yeah,
what the
Johnson,
guy-
I think is
Johnson.
yeah Johnson.
I think Jacksonville messed up when they got rid of Folds.
Do you?
Yeah.
We say the same thing, but I don't know, Mitchell. That's something that we'll have to talk about in a later show because I want to get into that. I want to see what they draft in the draft,
I wanna
and
see
then
what
we'll
they're-
talk
I
about.
want to see what they're going to do in
Yeah,
free agency because we may
Well,
be
you're
eating
still-
crab legs in the locker room.
Well, you still got a couple of guys out there. What he just said,
God,
Michael
please
Heater
don't
just
bring
said. Cam Newton's still out there. Jameis Winston's still out there. There's several guys that are still out there. The Kansas City
They need
Chiefs,
to go to the Browns
your
and
world
Bengals.
champions, your world champions right here. Antonio Hamilton signed a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. How about Chad Henne, the quarterback, re-signed with the Chiefs? That's backing up your boy there. So he re-signed. Chris Jones, DeMarcus Robinson, wide receiver, signing a 1-year deal worth $2.3 million. And Damian Williams, running back, signed a $2.3 million contract. Y'all do know we have a new team, right? Not really a new team, but a team that moved. They're called the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's right.
They'll be starting to play their games in Las Vegas. That's the old Oakland Raiders. They signed a hell of a receiver, a former Philadelphia receiver named Nelson Aguilar. Holy mess, I'm telling you right now. 1-year deal worth $1.47 million. Guaranteed.
Wow,
that's a steal. Michael Heater just said it.
Aguilar's
I'm
a
looking
great
at that
wide
whole
receiver.
thing. That is a steal for the Raiders.
And it helps Dallas out a lot in that division. Thank you.
Oh, goodness. Collins, defensive tackle, signed. But here's the one that really intrigues me. They signed Marcus Mariota, the quarterback from the Tennessee Titans, to a 2-year, $17.6 million contract. Does that mean, Michael, that they're going to try to get rid of David Carr? Or you think there's going to be a battle there?
I think
Yeah.
David Carr just hasn't been the player he was
Yep.
before he got his ankle broke. Before then, I felt so bad for him that year.
Yes.
That happened because everything was lined up perfectly for them to go on and go into the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I believe they would have made it to the Super Bowl.
And I'll be honest with you. I think what they're doing is they're bringing in the heir apparent. I think Carr
Yeah.
has probably recognized that, and I think they're going to use Carr as the
Bridge.
bridge,
Bridge.
Right,
to
the
kind of
mentor.
mentor him to,
Yeah.
to take him into the next thing. That's what I envision.
That's a good point. Carl Nassib played at Penn State, defensive end they signed. Demarius Randall, the defensive back they signed. And how about this pickup for the Raiders? He's going to love this one. Jason Witten signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, which you knew, to a 1-year, $4 million deal, $3.5 million guaranteed. What a steal for the Raiders.
Well, he's getting pretty close to the end of his career.
He's still
but
got
he's still
hands.
got great hands. He is one of the best moving
you
tight
like that?
ends in NFL, not just blocking but running routes. He's excellent, but
All right.
I think it is time for Dallas to move on to the younger guys that's playing at the tight end spot.
Right?
And I think Jarwin's actually going to do a really, really good job.
Go ahead, Byron. I see you.
I am sorry, that's blasphemous. It is blasphemous. You do not send one of the best tight ends Dallas has ever
I
had.
swear to
the
you,
Raiders.
you don't. You just
do
don't
that.
do
I'm
that.
sorry. That'd
I'm
be
sorry.
like
It
that'd
was
be
his
like
choice.
sending them to
I
the
know it
Eagles.
was.
It's
I know.
choice. So.
It's like sending them to
The
the
Eagles.
But
the Giants.
But I do think he knows that Jarwin is going to be the next upcoming thing for Dallas. He's got his size.
Yeah.
You're right.
He can
He's-
block,
yeah.
and he's getting better on his routes. So I think Jarwin's going to do a really good job.
Right. All right. Now, when I get to this next one, this is the Los Angeles Chargers. They re-signed their running back, Austin Eckler, to a 4-year, $24 million contract. Chris Harris, I knew they would too, cornerback. Hunter Henry, the tight end, he's a good ball player as well. But here is what I want to get to. And Hunter Henry, the tight end, the team placed the franchise tag on Henry. Dave, can you tell me what the franchise tag is? Or Michael Heater. When they place something, when they place a franchise tag on a player, what does that mean to that team and to that player?
My mind's blank.
Your mind's blank. Mike?
It basically kind of locks them in as the go-to player, and they use that as
Leverage.
as enticement,
Yes.
and leverage to bring in other players when they're doing the recruiting, and more so when they're doing free agency.
That's it. You hit it right on the head. Bammo. Great job, Michael Heater.
Unless you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you want higher draft picks
Yeah.
from an idiot that wants far too much money.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
I
I'm sorry. I loved when they picked Unique Ngakoue. I may have been the only person watching the draft that knew who this guy was because he was playing in the ACC at the time. The guy was a beast as a rush end, but he's suspect in the run game. He's a great situational player, but he is not a top 10 defensive end in the NFL, and that's what he wants.
Well, I got a question for David.
Okay.
Do you think Dallas made a mistake by putting a franchise tag on Dak Prescott?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I do too.
I do too. I'm going
agree.
to tell you why I think they made a mistake.
You know why I think he made him?
All right, let you say yours. Mm-hmm.
I think Dak has got a really strong arm, but if you're watching the games, some days he's accurate, some
Right.
days
He's
he's
not.
totally not. He throws a lot of
not
balls
consistent.
behind the
Yeah.
receivers.
You know who
A
he
lot
reminds
of balls
me of?
behind the receivers.
Reminds you of Jameis Winston.
I don't know. He
Reminds
reminds me
me,
of
man.
Byron Leftwich, just more mobile. That's who he reminds me of.
Well, Byron Leftwich, the problem with Byron Leftwich is he'll throw the ball from here to Austin Stevens at 122 miles an hour.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and Dak Prescott won't do that. Even though Dak Prescott's got a strong arm, he won't do that.
Right. And
know what I mean?
And I think maybe this off season, maybe he can work with these wide receivers and get more timing down with them. I mean, he is still pretty young quarterback in the NFL. He's only been there, a few years.
Right.
And but he's got to get on pace and quit throwing behind the receivers.
That's
He's got
a
to put the ball in front of them, let them go up and get it.
yep.
Type of deal.
All right, let's go. Let's move on. Los Angeles Rams. You got Michael Brockers, defensive tackle. The Ravens had a falling through on their deal. Michael Brockers is now added to the Los Angeles Rams. And Andrew Whitworth, an offensive lineman, re-signed. The Miami Dolphins, they absolutely did absolutely crap nothing. I don't think. Jordan Howard, they signed running back. He's not bad. Byron Jones, Byron's nephew, signed a 5-year deal. He's not bad. And Ted Karras, offensive lineman. Shaq Lawson, I guess that edge rusher is probably not a bad deal. Kyle Van Noy, that's a good linebacker.
I was about to say, Van Noy
from
is
the
pretty
Eagles.
good.
Yeah, from the Eagles. So not bad there. So the Minnesota Vikings, Amir Abdul re-signed with the Vikings, backing up one of the best running backs in the NFL, and that's you know who. Go ahead and say it. He's from Florida State. You can say it. You're allowed to say it.
I can't say that name.
Go ahead and say it, Byron, for him.
I can't say nothing about Florida State.
Mr. Dalvin Cook.
That's him. Dan Bailey, the kicker that y'all used to
He
have.
should be playing in Jacksonville right now.
Yes, he should. Minnesota Vikings kicker has signed with them.
Dan Bailey.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
used to be very accurate, and then he got totally, I don't know what happened to his kicking game, and that's the reason why Dallas had to replace him.
Yeah. I tell you what, Sean Mannion, quarterback, re-signed with Minnesota to back up Kirk Cousins. And Eric Wilson, a linebacker, was placed on a second-round tender, but they put the franchise tag, brother, on Anthony Harris, their safety, and he's good.
Yes, he is.
He's good.
and
I
I'll
think
tell
he
you-
led the league in interceptions, by the way. I don't know how many.
And I'll tell you, I think Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback.
Yep.
His problems when he was at Washington, no offensive line.
Right.
He was always hurried,
great quarterback.
knocked down, and he never had the opportunity. So maybe he'll have more opportunities now and succeed.
And I tell you what, that was half of the teams right there, gentlemen. We're going to stop right there. We'll pick that up on Tuesday. We'll talk more NFL free agency. We'll talk more sports as it comes about. We'll figure out what the president has talked with these owners about when sports is going to kick off. We'll stop right there. Remind me, guys, that we'll pick up with the New England Patriots as they lost Tom Brady. And, yeah, that's your boy. Lost Tom Brady. We'll pick up right there on Tuesday sports section. And that's our on-the-spot lawn care sports report. And now we switch gears with our local news and notes is Mitchell Gunner with the news tonight brought to you by Harry Business in Deerfoot Plaza, home of the $8 haircut. Mitchell Gunner, thank you for joining us. What you got for us on the local?
Well, tell you the truth, there's not really a whole lot going on right now, having to deal with the COVID-19 epidemic that's going on. To go ahead and touch base with that, today the new numbers came out after 6 p.m. There's 11,545 cases in the state of Florida.
Right.
1,470 of them are in hospitals, and we've had 196 deaths. To go ahead and reach out to some of the counties surrounding Bradford, Alachua County has 116, Baker County has 11, Bradford has 6. Now, with those 6 cases here in Bradford County, their ages range from 36 to 100 years in age.
Wow.
The number 6 one that popped up here just the other day, he is a 36-year-old male. It has affected 2 men and 4 women here in Bradford. Clay County has 74 cases. Duval now is up to 387.
Really?
So their numbers have really jumped in the past day. Flagler County is at 29. Putnam is at 18. St. John's is at 132. And Union County still sitting with only 1 case. Now, if you go look in through the floridahealth.org, you can go to the map, and you can actually look at some of the other counties in there. I think it's Dade. They're getting pretty close, I believe, to 4,000 cases in that county. So, and that's really the hot spots is around the Dade area. And, of course, that's where a lot of our cruise liners come in.
Sure.
And we have ports there and also at Port Canaveral. But I tell you, it's just like every day. The numbers keep on jumping up. And one thing, a lot of people has mentioned here lately, and I'm going to see if I can find out if we can start getting the numbers for those who have recovered. Mm-hmm. Because we don't see the numbers of recovered cases in the state of Florida.
Right.
It's not showing it, and I would like to see those.
You can get the national numbers.
I've got
Get
it right
the
here for you.
nationals.
I've got you. Yep,
But
I've got
you
you
can't
right
get
here.
the state numbers, and I would like to know how many are getting, being able to be released, and they're out of the woods of it. Because you see 116 cases in Alachua County. Well, that's going all the way back over a month ago. Well, apparently, there's got to be people who has recovered from it. They still cannot be active. But I want to tell you something else that's really surprising that happened today. But a Lake City police officer who showed no symptoms of COVID-19 actually is positive.
Wow.
So that goes to show you that a lot of people can be carriers, never have a symptom. Some people may just have a little runny nose or sore throat, never get the cough. Some people may feel like they're sick on their stomach for a couple of days.
Right.
And it's gone. So some of these people, they can't even tell if they've had it, and that makes it real scary because say you got 200 people, just say this is just speaking out.
Right.
This ain't true. But say you have 200 people in Bradford County
Right.
that are positive but show no signs of it, and those 200 people within 2 weeks, all of them has visited your Walmart or Winn-Dixie, and they have touched items, and then you touch those items, you wipe your mouth or your eyes or your nose cavity, and guess what?
You got it.
You've got it. So that's why it's always.
And you got it, and
gotta
you may
wash
not
those
get the
hands.
symptoms.
Right.
You may be like this
You
guy.
may be just
you
like
just may
them.
be the carrier, or,
Right.
of this. That's the problem. Is Dave is the unknown. Mitchell Byron is the unknown of this thing.
Right.
You just don't know. Like you said, touch this, touch that. Don't have the symptoms, but you're the carrier. Now you may have infected 220 more people.
Right, and that's how
And that's
this
the
thing
thing.
multiplies.
Yes.
You know, Alachua County, they actually got. I'm not saying they got lucky, but Alachua County, from this morning, they only had one case. It was 115 this morning, and this afternoon it's 116. So to me, that number has, for just today, that number has slowed up. But I tell you, you gotta look out for yourself. If you go to get gas, hey, put on your gloves. Get you some latex gloves. Put them on. Pump your gas. Touch the card reader and all that. Take them off before you get back in your car.
That little dispensary that you wash your windows.
Right.
It has.
Yes.
Yes,
Now
it
they're
does.
putting hand sanitizer out there.
Yep.
So we appreciate those gas stations that are actually doing that right now. It's helping us to try to defeat this thing. And, of course, keep social distancing. If you have to go to a store for your family, go grocery shopping.
Right.
Send one person. The whole family doesn't have to go.
Right.
See if that you can keep your kids home. They really don't need to be out and about while this is going on. I want to touch base on the Bradford County schools. Definitely the middle school. If your kids picked up packets last week, and want to let everyone know, they also do have science packets that need to be
Right.
picked up. If they did not get picked up on Thursday of this week, you can pick those up starting Monday.
Right.
And there's usually people at the school from Monday through Thursday. So if you try to go up there Friday, you're not going to find anybody to help you. So just keep that in mind. Also, something that's going to happen real soon on April the 6th from midnight to 2 a.m. is they're planning to have a electric outage for the city of Stark. If you need more information on this power outage and how it may affect you, you can call at 904-964-5027 to get details and see if your area is going to be affected, especially those who have medical things that help them out. Usually they have battery backups on them, but still, give them a call and find out what area is going to be affected in this outage. Also, I want to mention someone who lives in Lodi, Lisa Tatum. She was selected for one of Santa Fe's college 2020 Women of Distinction, and recommendations of her involvements in Grits, 4-H Club, Miss Bradford Fest, and Guardian Litem programs. So we want to send out a big congratulations to her and what she has done for all these programs for our community.
Mitchell, I want to reiterate what you said, and that was a great report, by the way. Duval County, want to tell you something what's unique about Duval County. Duval County doesn't just include Jacksonville municipality. It includes the whole county, every little area that's from almost the beaches all the way out here to Maxville.
All the way to Nassau.
To Nassau.
Yeah. Yep.
So Jacksonville is considered all of that.
That's right.
That's why it is one of the largest cities in the United States and area,
correct.
because they consider the whole county. So for 387, probably for Duval County, considering Jacksonville has a populace of what, about 1.8 million?
Yes, and it is the largest city land-wise in the world.
Yes, yes.
And what makes the 116 bad for Alachua County, because that makes Alachua County the highest amount of cases per capita.
Sure does.
Talking about
Right. Yeah.
how many
In the
people
state
live
of Florida.
there.
Right.
So
you have to
their
understand,
population.
You have to understand the college is there,
Right.
and the homeless population for the surrounding counties and Alachua County are there.
That's
I
right.
found
So,
out
I
a
mean-
number that's going to be interesting to you. Do you know how many homeless that we have on 39th Avenue, right there, what we call Tent City? Can anybody tell me that number? I already looked it up. It's a phenomenal. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, it's up in the hundreds.
1,200 people in Tent City. 1,200 people. The last number they got, and that was 2 months ago, was 1,200 people in Tent City, bro. And we all know where that's at, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, where it's right off of Airport Boulevard, what we call 39th Avenue. What it used to be an old correctional facility.
Yeah, it used to be Gainesville
Well,
CI.
CI.
Yep.
And they moved out of there. They went to their new building, and they pretty turned that much over to the homeless. And they have incorporated that. And there is 1,200 people in Tent City. I was floored when I heard that number. So
Don't let tent city, the term tent city.
no, and don't. That's
confuse
what we
you.
call it. That's correct.
There are people there living in tents, but there are also
Yes.
facilities there where a bunch of people live in apartments.
Well,
Yes, that's
and-
correct.
They're apartments.
And I'll tell you the reason why the ones who live in the tents and don't live in the apartments
They
part,
don't wanna live
they
in the
want to follow the rules.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep,
reason why they're
yep.
in the tents.
Yep.
They don't want to follow the rules. And I tell you, the number one thing, the reason why they have a high population of homeless people is because of mental sickness.
Sickness. Yeah.
That is usually the number one reason for homelessness
Right.
is because of mental sickness. And then the other,
Drug
people
use.
just
Drug-
don't like to have other people to tell them what to do.
Right. Yeah.
They don't like to be told what they have to do, and that's why some of them don't have jobs, because they don't
yeah.
want to follow
They
other
can't- they
people's
can't follow
instructions.
Right.
So,
All right, Mitchell. Also, I had a couple of more questions for you. One is, and if you missed it, you can go back and catch our Bradford County press conference that we had here, that On the Spot was able to be able to host here last night. Really good turnout, really a lot of good questions. Had a question come up and said, is the emergency room here going to be open? And how's the sale going to affect that while the COVID-19 is going on?
well, I heard that the emergency room is not going to close at all anyway.
Right.
So it's not going to be affected
That's correct.
at all. What we're hoping is they'll see how much they are needed as far as staff and rooms to provide service for people here in Bradford County. They'll see that the need for it, and maybe they'll keep the rest of the hospital open. That's what I'm hoping. They're still talking. Of course, we've heard that they've been talking about things, so nothing's really solid and concrete yet. But I hate to see it close. For one, I don't want to see a lot of people have to go look for other jobs in other areas. I'd rather keep those jobs here. That way, those nurses, those doctors, when they get off of work, they spend their money here instead of working in other counties elsewhere and lose that revenue for our city and county. So, hey, maybe we need to start calling the owners and say, hey, please don't close our hospital.
Right.
We like to have it.
You know, hey, Sarge just brought up a good question. Sarge is one of our top fans. Thank you, Sarge, for tuning in each and every week for On the Spot with David
Those
Rodgers.
of you who don't know who that is, that's Mr. Jason Vaught.
Yeah, he works with me out there at New Millennium. He said, guys, is there any chance of these tests showing a positive, a false positive?
I have heard, I don't know how true it is, but I have heard they have had some false positives.
Yep.
So guess what? If you got some false positives, you probably got some false negatives too.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You're dealing with two different strains of the virus anyway. Of
Right.
this particular coronavirus, you're dealing with two strains of it. So to me, that would make sense that you would get false positives and false negatives because the virus is changing and it's split into two strains.
Right.
So you're going to get that. But still, I've heard this about both strains. Once again, I'm going to say this from earlier tonight. They have medication that works on this. They have it. They're just not letting a lot of people know it because the CDC has rules and guidelines that they're supposed to follow, that they're afraid to say that it's working because they haven't run through the governmental red tape of saying the medication has worked. They should drop that. They should start supplying this to people. Not only is the medication shown to work on people who have COVID-19, but it's shown as a preventative too for it. And that is
the malaria vaccine?
Yes, I can't remember the name
I
of it.
can't remember the name of it either.
Something Quinn.
Quinn, yeah.
Something
I can't.
Quinn with the end. In combination with a medication we've had. And some of you older people will remember this antibiotic. It's called
I can't think of it now.
azithromycin. Thank you. Azithromycin. And those two drugs in combination with each other have shown to actually make the virus last less long in people who are not having severe cases.
Right.
And it's also shown for people who are having problems on ventilators to pull them out of that problem.
Right.
So, and there's a bunch of people, and I know everybody's heard of Dr. Oz by now.
Right.
But he is the main one that's talking about this.
Yes.
So it's actually, they actually have something that works with this. This is not the zombie apocalypse.
No.
The government is going to catch on here in just a little while, and they're going to go, okay, we don't need to spin our wheels with this. We need to start getting these people these doses. There are also companies like Novartis who have actually come out and said that they are going to manufacture a certain amount of doses, and it was I think it was $1 billion or $3 billion or something like that, and donate it. Right. So, and that was for the malaria drug, and I cannot remember the name of this. Sorry, I just wanted to let everybody know
ADO.
That. Boop, hey, you forgot to give us the boop. ADO time, ladies and gentlemen. We're in audience-driven overtime for the second time on the show tonight with our local stuff, Mr. Mitchell Gunner, Mr. Byron Bagwell right here to my left. I am your host, Mr. David Rodgers, right along with the rest of the crew. We are on the spot with David Rodgers, bringing you the latest and greatest in sports, our local news, our regional news, our national news, our world news, politics, and COVID-19, baby. We've got it. You can hear it first right here, guys, with On the Spot. So
I tell you what, with me finishing up.
Thank you, Dwight Allen, brother, and Renee Stegall-Shaw. Thank you.
Well, with me finishing up the local and fixing to hand over the national to you, I want to see what is your take on this. If we definitely do find out that China released this on purpose, had their citizens fly to locations to infect other people in other governments, what do you think the response should be? Should it be a what do you call it? A front of all of us coming together, going against China?
Here's what I would do as a nation.
As in trade, not as much as in war yet.
Here's what I would do as a nation. I would pull all American companies out of China
and citizens too.
And I would tell the owners that if you do business with China, you're not doing business in the United States. So you either come back or we don't do business with you. We will not allow your products in.
Right.
I would ban all travel back and forth between China. And then I would sanction China to Kingdom Come.
Right.
I wouldn't trade with them.
Nope. No.
I wouldn't do any of that.
You close them off to the world is what you
and
do.
The main thing.
Close them off to the world. We've seen how that functions before, like what we did to the USSR. That would be my response. It wouldn't be to fly the bombers over there. It wouldn't be to send the army over there. It wouldn't be to do any of that. Because you can pretty much, with the economic engine that is the United States because of capitalism, you can pretty much cut that communist nation off from the world.
Right.
Yep.
Because other countries in the world will follow the United States lead because they want to trade with us because we have the money to trade with them.
Well, and we all know a lot of stuff that does come from China is made out of plastic.
Junk.
It's junk.
It's junk.
And I heard something that was very interesting. Why don't we go back to making stuff out of hemp?
Yep.
Hey, just think about it. The Ford company
Yeah, I know.
They made their chassis
Yes, they
out
did.
of hemp and resin,
Yes, they did.
and it's a very strong
A-
material.
Yes, it is.
My comment to that is the tree lobbyists, the lumber lobbyists, will have a fit because hemp is a viable replacement for a lot of the products that we use. And to tell you the honest truth, there is too much money in lumber for things like toilet paper and paper towels and everything else that we use.
Right.
That could it be done? Yeah, it could be done. Can they do it with the money that's involved with it? I don't have an answer for that.
Right.
But it can. What you're talking about can be done. As a matter of fact, the Constitution was written on hemp paper. Just to
Yeah.
let everybody know.
Right. That's correct.
And what y'all were saying right there, think about this too, guys. We have one of the largest recycling recycling programs in the world today. We recycle a lot of products. If we can implement that a lot more into some of these products these gentlemen were just saying, we could still save the trees, as the lobbyists are saying.
No, they're not
But-
saving the trees. They want to sell the trees.
Well, they want to sell the
They
trees,
want to
right?
sell the trees. People like Georgia Pacific.
Right,
Right.
right.
What's the name of
But-
the big one that's out here? Plum Creek.
Yeah.
Plum Creek. I mean, there's a bunch of these companies that you will have heard of. They have pine tree farms. It's pine tree farms, and they make paper, and they make paper towels, and they make toilet paper, and they make all
And they
sorts
sell
of
the
products.
straw.
I.e. paper mills.
Hemp can actually be produced for less money, and it produces a very similar product, sometimes even better, depending on what you're making.
Right.
Well, the problem with that is they quit making the money that they're making off the trees. So what they end up doing is they end up lobbying to basically make hemp have a stigma on it.
Have
We're
a
not
monopoly
talking.
on hemp.
Right.
You are not talking about marijuana, by the way. We're
No.
not,
Right.
we are
No,
not,
no.
We are not talking about marijuana. We are talking
No.
about a sterilized version of marijuana called hemp.
Right.
It's made out of the stems of a marijuana plant. There's no bud. Is that?
Correct.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no
there's
bud.
bud.
There's no bud. It's sterile. It doesn't produce the
Right.
THC.
See,
It doesn't,
right.
and it doesn't produce the bud that everybody thinks about. People doing whatever they do with it. Okay.
Right.
So that's what you're talking about, and I'm glad that you led me into this, because I'm going to tell you, we are going to have an extremely bad problem doing what I just said to do. You know why we're going to have a bad problem with this?
And I'll tell you what, why don't you hold that thought? Great job, Mitchell Gunner. And now our national update with Mr. Byron Bagwell. Tonight, sponsored by Mrs. Clean Housekeeping Services, commercial and residential cleaning. Call Karen today for your free estimate at 352 Byron 575-5835.
Thank you so
Again,
much, Miss Karen. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
You sponsoring my mad ramblings.
There you go. Speaking of that, we're going to get right into Byron Bagwell. Byron, go ahead. As we was talking about this hemp and the hemp product, led right into this, and whatever else you had on the docket tonight.
Well, we were talking about this, and I didn't want to go on too much about this tonight because this infuriates me. Part of what happens, and I'm going to try to do this as calm and as rationally as I possibly can.
Right.
Part of what happens with what we were just talking about, what should happen to China, is the fact that manufacturers have moved their businesses over to China.
Right.
To make their items cheaper.
Okay? And
Selling for more money.
what does that do? That gives their
Increase
stockholders
That's right.
Increases the profit.
that their owners, the stockholders,
Right owners.
the stockholders, basically you, me, and everybody else, because everybody has a 401k now, and it's full of, guess what? Stocks. So what happens is with all of this is they send these companies overseas, they make their products cheaper, and in return they can make more profit on what goes on.
Right.
The stock market goes up, your 401k goes up, and everything else goes up. You bring it back to the United States, and here's what happens. Say they want to go to New York. Their profit margins go down by about 75%. And I'll tell you why they go down by 75%. Because places like New York and China have the most draconian tax laws in the United States. If you look at the numbers of people and the numbers of businesses that have fled these two states, and you've gone to states like Florida, Tennessee, and Texas, that don't have income taxes. They don't have a 75% or 50% business tax. They leave these places, and they come to places like Florida. We're going to have a little bit of a problem with that because in order to turn this manufacturing machine on, we've got to get these socialist governors, Andrew Cuomo, as I said earlier, we've got to get them to understand that their policies are what's driving big business out of their states. You have to do that. I sit there and watch Andrew Cuomo for the last 2 or 3 days go on about, well, there's just not enough. We don't have enough. We don't have all of this. Look, you are responsible for that in part because you drove the businesses out of your states. If you had a reasonable tax code and you didn't have death taxes and all of the income taxes and everything.
How about their luxury taxes?
Luxury taxes.
Oh, my
God! If you didn't have all of this to pay your union buddies, that's the other problem with it.
Yeah.
You have to pay a person that makes a roll of toilet paper $35 an hour because it's all unionized.
Right.
Okay, unions are good for certain things.
They are.
But when you start getting to the point where every family member is a union worker, and that family member goes into the job their daddy had, and every family member makes $30 or $40 an hour for doing a job that they should be paid $15 an hour for. What ends up happening is you end up driving businesses out because they can't afford to pay people.
Right.
So there's a bunch of cause and effect to it when you start talking about this. And I know that I've heard this from several people. Well, the Republicans have been in power for 3 years. Well, they've had control of the Senate and they've had control of the presidency for 3 years. But the federal government cannot dictate to the state governments what their tax legislation is. So Donald Trump can sit up there in office and go, you need to lower your taxes all he wants to. They're going to look at him and go, I'll do what I want to. And they do what they want to. And they drive the businesses and the people out. Why do you think there's so many people from places like New York coming to Florida to live when they retire? Because they make all of this money, and it's not all of that money in New York. It's barely a living in New York.
That's correct.
Their money in New York will not stretch as far as it will in Florida.
Well, they come down here to retire, and they build $1 million home, and they live like whatever they want to live like.
Right.
And they were living in a one-bedroom apartment with a small kitchenette all of their lives in New York. Because they make all of this money, but it's not worth as much there because of their tax laws. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have people literally fleeing that state and businesses leaving that state. California is the same way with it. I mean, people get out because, guess what? A place that has an income tax on top of the federal income tax, a state income tax, is going to draw more people to it than a state that, or less people to it than a state that doesn't, like Florida.
Right.
People are going to start leaving because they're not stupid. It's their money. It's the part of their life they spend to actually make this money. So they're going to go where they have to go to have more money. And that goes for businesses too. I hear this word demonized all the time. Big corporations. They're big. Look. A big corporation consists of, guess what? Not Satan, not his minions, but American citizens. They're American citizens that are on those boards. They have a right to make money. Now, has it been abused? Of course it's been abused. You make laws to where people can't abuse the system. But you also can't look at a man and go, I had this idea. I have made millions and millions of dollars off of it because I worked my rear end off to make that product. Well, my daddy did. I'm tired of hearing that too. Well, what about the children? Well, okay, so he's running the same company. His daddy had the idea. It was handed down to him. He's running the business, and he's still making that money, so he has to be doing something besides sitting there. He has to have learned something because you can't run a business and not be smart, or it's going to go under. You're going to make a bad decision, and it's going to tank.
And what does it matter? Because everyone has the opportunity to try to do
Try
whatever
to
they
do
can
exactly
in
the
this
same
in this
thing these
country.
people are doing. That's the point
That's
with this.
free enterprise, ladies and
That's the point. That's the point of this. That's the point I was getting to. I know it's long-winded.
Free enterprise.
But people have the ability to go, I have this great idea to make a widget.
Right.
And I can make a widget better than anybody else.
Right.
And I can charge $1 for a widget instead of 50 cents a widget.
Right.
Because my widget is so much better, the people that want widgets are going to buy that widget. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is they make millions of dollars.
Byron,
On their ingenuity.
Would that be supply and demand as well?
It's supply and demand.
Man.
Yes.
Here's the other
The
thing.
two basic things that makes an economy or a business work.
Hey, supply and demand. Here's the other thing it is. It is liberty that gives people the ability to do that. I talk about liberty all the time. You own yourself. I've asked people that question before. Do you own yourself? Some people will say, no, the government owns me because they take this and that and the other. And part of ways, they're right in a little bit of ways. But really, you have the right to make whatever your God-given ability is in this country to make what you can or make what you want to or not make anything at all. That is your right. So
And your choice.
and your choice. That's freedom. Right. That's for the freedom to choose what you do with your liberty. Mm-hmm. You have the right to do that. The government shouldn't have a right to take it away. Jealous people who have problems with millionaires and billionaires shouldn't have a right to take it away. They should not, because you use your life to make that profit. When you put that spin on it, some of this stuff is nonsense. Because I'm telling you, taxes bother me. Taxes bother me really bad.
Oh,
I
big time.
understand they're necessary in some ways. They're a necessary evil in some ways. But you're telling me that I'm going to give you my money to pay for somebody else who won't get up off their rear end and work?
Right.
I'll give you a prime
I'm
example.
sorry, you're taking part of my life to do that.
I want to
That's
give y'all
part
something.
of the reason why I live in a state without a state income tax.
Right.
If Florida ever does it, I'm going somewhere else. I'm telling you, I love Florida. This is my home.
Yep.
But if they ever get to a point where they elect somebody that implements a state income tax, I will not be living here.
I want to throw something out to you, Byron. You were talking about supply and demand. You're talking about free marketing, free enterprise. I want y'all to tell me something. Why do you think that Harley Davidson is so successful? Can anybody tell me why Harley Davidson is so successful? First and foremost, what? They're an American company, right? Icon. Okay, number one. But why are they so successful, Byron? What do you think? You tell me.
Well, because the founder of Harley looked at another motorcycle company called Indian.
Correct.
That did not exist forever.
Correct.
And what they did was they took some of the ideas from Indian and they took some of the owner's ideas and they made something very special.
Right.
People started realizing it was special. And they started buying it.
Okay.
And it grew like wildfire and they started making lots of money off of it.
Right.
Because the owner of it was smart enough to go, hey, this is a good idea. I love this motorcycle. Let me make it better. Let me do what I want to with this, and I'll come up with something that people are going to love. That works sometimes. That doesn't work sometimes. But it definitely worked with Harley Davidson.
Right. And let me tell you what.
If you talk about people wanting a motorcycle, that's what they want.
Right.
That's right. What was you going to add to it?
Well, I was going to, go say, well, they didn't just, hey, we're going to build motorcycles. They actually started in the beginning with bicycles.
Yes, they did.
Bicycles was their main thing.
Yep.
And they started building a basis off their bikes.
AMX, right?
And
if I'm not mistaken, or America, something to that effect.
No, that's automotive. That's
Harley Davidson, they was back in 83,
right?
84. What is it?
AMX.
Yes. So, and that's where the bicycles, too, started coming into play as well.
They started doing the bicycles in late 1800s, I believe, and they slowly built up that platform, and then, they went out and said, hey, we want to make something more than just bicycles. We want to incorporate putting motors on them, and that's where they got involved talking with Indian and getting some of their, looking at their ideas. and build a foundation off of their bicycles, and they are what they are today.
And let me tell you one other thing that they did, gentlemen, that was very smart and very ingenuitive. When you wanted a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, because this happened to me, I wanted a brand new 1200 when I got out. You know what they told me? You have to wait. I had to wait a year for that bike. Why? Because they only made 90% of 100% demand. There was always a 10% demand for motorcycles. That's why you couldn't go years back and find a Harley-Davidson on a showroom floor that you wanted, because there may have been one or two. Now, that has changed a little bit now. But they went and said, great marketing strategy. They said, okay, we're going to build in 1 year 90% of the demand of what 100% of the people want. Right. So there was always that 10% that you always had. The fluff, if you want to call it. Right. That 10%.
They never over-manufactured.
Right. Now, that's different a little bit, because you can go down to some of these major Harley dealers and you can see a bunch of Harleys sitting there. But because why? What Byron just said. It's now, and you said, it's become an icon now. You don't have to worry about that now, because it is American-made. Like you said, come from India and took the ideas there, and now that is an American icon. Sort of.
But
yes,
you talk about companies and ingenuity. You can't do this anywhere else in the world. Right?
Correct.
I mean, there's some countries you can do this, not the way you can do it here.
Right. I'll give you a prime example. We can be on here talking with y'all for the next couple of weeks, and no telling. Hey, Fox News, they might see us and say, you know what? Those three guys that talk, and their guy Dave Holland and Michael Heater and Austin Stevens, man, they do all kinds of things. We need to put them on our Fox network, and boom, and we start making $150,000 to $250,000 a year, and we should be punished for
that,
for doing better.
For doing better,
that's what we're trying to. That's the example that we're trying to set.
That's what I'm trying to drive home. When you talk about taking other people's money, be careful with that.
Right.
Because it might be your own.
It is their own.
Yeah.
That's what most people don't realize. You're taking money from yourself when you start that too. Here's the thing. The argument that I always get for this is, what about the poor people who can't take care of themselves, really truly can't take care of themselves, the ill, the sick, the infirmed, the elderly, on and on and on with that. Well, here's a thought that I want everybody to think about. Before 1913, who helped take care of the sick, the elderly, and the infirmed? We didn't have an income tax until 1913.
That's correct.
This country survived from 1778 under its current governing law,
right,
without a personal income tax.
That's right.
Who took care of them? Anybody thought who took care of these poor people like that?
You know who took care of them? Your own relatives took care of you.
There's one. There's one.
Oh, I'm sorry. ADO, audience-driven overtime, ladies and gentlemen.
There's one.
Keep going, Byron.
Who else do you think took care of them?
So if it wasn't, I would say
family and friends. I mean,
well, that's what I said. Yes, yeah.
Churches.
Yeah.
Churches.
Did you know that there was no public education system in the United States for a very, very long time? Do you know who was responsible for the education of this country at that point?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't just do the spiritual side of it. They taught mathematics.
Yep.
They taught English. They taught history. And they taught science.
Mm-hmm.
The churches took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done without all of this government. It needs to be done without all of this government. There's ways we can take care of it without all this government. There's ways to eliminate the income tax and have more money than we have right now in the federal government's coffers without penalizing everybody on their personal income.
Right.
I would rather have a consumption tax. Because I would feel like, okay, I'm paying taxes on the things that I buy, which is constitutional, not on my personal income, which is not.
Right.
You know, an income tax was supposed to be temporarily.
Well, the income tax was
Yeah.
supposed to be temporary. Social Security was supposed to be temporary.
Right.
Medicare and Medicaid were supposed to be temporary. The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
So-
Once government does something, it is very hard to get them to reverse it.
Right.
If they say, "Hey, we're going to start another tax and it's going to be 3% of something, but we're only going to do it for 2 or 3 years," it won't never stop.
First off, if you tell me that, you're gonna show me in the legislation is going to be handed to me, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking at this. You're right. This is how this is written. I'm okay with it because we need this right now.
I believe that happened with the Patriot Act too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patriot Act's really not a
Kind
tax.
of.
The Patriot Act was a knee-jerk reaction to 9/11.
11. Yes.
And I don't necessarily say it was a knee-jerk reaction because some of this stuff needed to start happening.
Happening anyway.
But take a look at the freedoms that it took away. Some of you out there are not old enough to remember being able to get on a plane without having a body probe to get on a plane.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that. Walk up, show them your ticket, walk on a plane.
By the way, Michael
Shoot,
Needle
you
wants
used
to
to
show
walk.
you.
Used to walk right out the door, right on the tarmac, and walk up the steps and get
the
on.
steps
Yeah.
and get on the plane.
Get on a plane.
Yeah.
Or walk
No
across
more.
the concourse
No more.
into the connector. I can't.
Or how
remember.
about this? Your family
Terminal.
would walk you
Terminal,
back
thank
to
you.
that
Walk to the
to that terminal and
All
watch
the
you
way
get
to
on the
your-
plane
all the way
and watch you take off.
Yes.
You can't
Yeah, you
do
can't
that
do that
anymore.
How about
You can't take-
smoking?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you used to be able to, even up there at Jacksonville International Airport, you used to be able to get on the roof.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
watch
And
the
watch
planes.
them. Yes.
Can't
Okay,
do that.
No
so
more.
you can't carry a bottle of water inside of a sporting event anymore.
Oh.
Can't carry a large purse inside of a sporting
Without it
event.
getting checked.
Can't carry it at all. Some of them.
Some of them you can't.
Can't carry
But if
3
you do,
ounces of
Okay.
shampoo.
if you do, they're gonna check. They're checking everything anyway. If you've got a purse, a woman's got a purse. They're checking what's inside of it.
The most egregious thing that I thought was in the Patriot Act when it first started was the FISA courts.
Yeah.
I thought that it could be abused, and it would be abused.
Explain that.
And to tell you the honest truth, it has been abused now to spy on American citizens, which they are not supposed to do at all unless they have links to terrorism. Explain it. A FISA court. What a FISA court does is it basically you have to take it's a secret court with appointed federal judges. Federal judges. They do is they hand out basically espionage, spying, wiretaps on individuals that are inside of this country that are supposed to have ties to terrorism, or they're Russian spies or what communist spies, whatever you want to call it. What they do in rough terms. I was afraid what was going to happen was the politics were going to get involved with it, and they were going to use it against their political enemies for political reasons.
Right.
And that is exactly what happened to our president. They spied on Donald Trump without any proof other than a specious document called the Steele dossier. We've talked about this before. That shouldn't those warrants should not have been permitted. There's up to 5 of them now that they're talking about that had no legal basis whatsoever. Now, in my opinion, those people that applied for those and the people backing them and giving them information should be sitting in Leavenworth right now for the rest of their lives. Because I'm telling you guys, you don't get your day in court with this. They come up there, present evidence, a judge signs off of it, and they spy on you. Your due process rights are completely and totally gone. I have an issue with that, period. Now, it's useful when you have, let's say, Ahmed over here sitting in a mosque, and I'm using this as an example. I'm not saying that all Muslims are this way. You have Ahmed sitting over here in a mosque going death to the infidels. and telling people how to make bombs and stuff, and the FBI figures this out. They wiretap them. They figure out what ties they have to who and what foreign nations, and then they stop their plots. That's what it's designed to do.
Right.
Now, it's not designed to spy on Americans.
Especially a candidate who's running for office.
For president.
Right.
They wiretap Trump Tower. If they can do it to Donald Trump, they can do it to anybody. And that should scare you to death. Because you can't say anything. I mean, anything at all. I talk about crazy things all the time. They could come to me. I could have black helicopters landing, and men in black suits come and talk to me about ghillie suits and sniper rifles. Because, quite frankly, I have a ghillie suit. And I'm not going to confirm or deny whether I have a sniper rifle or not. So, they could come talk to me anytime they want to. If they had a FISA warrant on me, they could put me in. They could take me down to the FBI office in Jacksonville, and they could keep me there indefinitely. Because you do not get your day in court. There is no lawyer there for you. There is no nothing there for you. They can keep you there forever. That is un-American, by the way. That part of it scares me half to death, because part of it can be used for really good reasons. But if you have political motives and you use that, either way, and I'm not just talking about Republicans and Democrats, I'm talking about any party. You use that, you're in power, and you use that against your opponents, that's not American. That's so anti-freedom that it's not even funny. That's dictatorial, tyrannical actions, and it should be stopped.
It's a violation of all your amendments.
It's definitely a violation of the Due Process Amendment. I mean, freedom of speech. You can't defend yourself. They're gonna poke you and prod you and play music so loud that you can't sleep till you'll tell them anything they want you to say.
Right.
To get you out of that situation, and then it's completely over, because they're going to stick you in some federal penitentiary for the rest of your life. It's unbelievable what the government can get away with when people don't know what goes on with the government. And that's part of the reason why I do all of this research and talk.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, keep going. You're
good. I get flustered when I start talking about this, because look, I'm going to tell you what should happen to the people that perpetrated this.
Oh, can we both tag team on them?
Well, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
They should build a gallows on the White House lawn, and it should make a very public display of these people that have done this. Because if the Democrats can get away with it, the Republicans will get the idea that they can get away with it too. And sooner or later, it's going to happen to both parties, and we're going to get these little really nasty end games.
And yep.
The public is not going to know anything at all about what's going on with our government. They're going to keep on messing with each other until they have us at each other's throats over nonsense.
C-SPAN 1 and 2 may disappear from TV.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
That's a controversial thing to say, but you were talking about violating such fundamental rights of American citizens by doing that. I mean, look, our founders killed their own countrymen for this, over stuff like this.
Right.
They did. Wake up. Look into it.
Thank you.
Please just wake up and look into it, because this is something that's very, very serious. God forbid. I mean, people talk about me going into politics. I'm not going into politics, and I'll tell you why. Because if they did that to me, they better not ever see me again, because I'm gonna hurt somebody if you do that to me.
Exactly.
For political gain. I'm not gonna be like Donald Trump and just call him whatever and do this, do that, do the other. If I see you and you violated my rights like that, somebody, either me or you, is going to get a rear end kicking.
There you go. I agree.
So
Amen.
I don't have the temperament to play political games. I have the intelligence to sit here and talk to you about it, but the temperament to actually go be goody-goody to each other's face when they treat each other that way and they play these little dirty games with each other, I don't have time or patience for that nonsense. So, okay, real quick before we head on out, I did have a little bit of news about what's going on with the
Democratic?
the presidential primaries
Primaries.
on the Democrat side.
Side.
There's two contestants left,
Right.
and that would be Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. He was born November the 20th, 1942. He's 77 years old in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He is a former senator and former vice president of the United States. And then we have Bernie Sanders. He was born in September 8th, 1941. He's 78. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, and he's a senator. Either one of them have done all their lives. They've been senators and vice presidents is what they've done.
Right.
So what you have is you have two people who have very similar policies but two different ways coming about it. There is some rumor that's going around right now that the person that you're seeing on TV who is getting a lot of airtime from New York is going to get in that race. It's going to become a brokered convention. He's going to step in, and eventually the Democrats are going to make him his candidate. Their candidate.
Do you know who that is?
And that would be Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, Cuomo.
Okay, I've heard this from several people that really know Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Look, if I was a Democrat and they did that, I would be furious.
That's a DNC.
That would make me furious. They did this to Bernie Sanders
Last time.
Last time. Sure did.
They're going to do it to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders this time? Wow. Those are the candidates that you voted for. They're the ones that's left out of a field of 382. Okay? So those are the people that you have chose to run, and now they're going to play dirty political games at their convention and put somebody else in. You best talk to your representatives about that, because I am telling you, I have a feeling it's coming. If you watch what Andrew Cuomo is doing right now and really pay attention to what he's doing, he is manipulating stuff like you would not believe. He is trying to position himself. He said he's not running and he wouldn't run. I've heard that. But I've also heard people say that before, and the next month they're running. So pay attention to what's going on with your Democrat Party. Figure out who you want, and for the love of God, do not let the DNC take away those candidates that you want. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Trump voter and think I can beat you very handily with either one of those candidates. I think he'll mop the floor with Andrew Cuomo too. But he's taking away your rights. They would be taking away your right to who you voted for.
They're taking away your vote.
To be taking away your vote.
Your vote is meaningless.
It would be meaningless.
Yep.
So
if they do that, just leave the dark side.
Well,
Come over to the other.
Look, I'm going to explain this to you. The people that have migrated from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party have had enough of the silliness. The people that are still there still believe that the Democrat way is the right way. That is their freedom to do.
Yeah.
So, but I will still talk about them, and I will still give you, when this happens, I will give you things that are going on and tell you when your party is about to violate your rights. Because I am telling you, I really honestly believe that he is going to eventually get in and probably be the candidate. How he's going to do this fast, I don't know, with all of the primaries already gone, unless it's a broker convention. And I'll let you look up broker convention. That would take too long to sit here and explain at the end of the show.
Maybe we'll explain it Tuesday.
And they will do that on purpose to make it a broken convention so they could get
Yeah,
him in and boot the other two out.
So they could get him in.
Yeah.
But number one, okay, honestly, Joe Biden, I feel sorry for Joe Biden when I watch him speak. And a lot of people make fun of Joe Biden. I feel sorry for him. I really think the man has dementia. Really, really think he does. Because he can't remember one thing from the other. I just gave him the look that most people will do when Joe Biden gets in their face.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or, hey, you should have went. You
Okay.
should have just moved real quick.
Look, it's just him and Bernie now, by the way. But anyway, sorry, that's a great Facebook meme, by the way. Joe
Yes,
Biden
it is.
sniffing Bernie Sanders. Anyway, Joe Biden, I really believe has a diminished mental capacity. I believe the man is not physically capable of running this country.
I think he has dementia.
I really do. I think he's had dementia for a long time because he's been doing this for a long time. The man is not capable. And then what happens when he's elected president? What happens is one of these smart Democrats goes, "Oh, we realize that he can't do that. He's mentally declining." They enact the 28th Amendment, and whoever they decide to run as his vice president becomes the president.
I forgot who the sponsor was.
And it's possible that Hillary Clinton's put there. That will cause problems. I can promise you that will cause major issues with 3/4 of this country because nobody likes Hillary Clinton except California and New York. That is going to be an issue, trust me. Okay, number 2, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is nuts. Just straight out nuts. He is a socialist communist. He is crazy, and I'm sorry if you vote for him, if you're voting for him. But anybody that can back the amount of money that it would cost this country to spend on his policies is either ignorant or crazy, because the man is going to spend 3 times our gross domestic product every year. We are going to turn into Venezuela in 4 years if that happens. His policies are not solvent. They will not work. Look at the numbers. Forget all of the emotion. Just look at the numbers, because his policies are tremendously scary. It won't work. It just won't work.
Byron, thank you for that national update and that world update, brother. That was great. Got a little history lesson there. Byron Bagwell's special assignment there, or special segment, was sponsored by Mrs. Clean Housekeeping Services, commercial and residential cleaning. Call Karen today for your free estimate at 352-575. I thought about it. But you can call Karen today for your free estimate at 352-575-5835. Just real quick, I want to get into the coronavirus just really quick, give you some numbers. Worldwide cases, 1,196,553. Recovered, 246,108. 64,549 deaths. Let's compare that as what Byron said last week on the show. That's compared to 20 to 50 million that the Spanish flu killed, right? The Spanish flu killed at least 20 to 50 million, I believe it was. Worldwide.
It killed a good portion of the population of the United States
too. Now, the U.S., we have 308,812 confirmed, 14,451 recovered patients, and 8,407 deaths. And ladies and gentlemen, that is just some of your numbers right there. I just wanted to go over a couple of quick things here before we get to our last words by everybody. I do want to apologize for not getting to a lot of you guys' comments tonight and acknowledging you on the show. But we know who you are, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go back and watch the show. We'll go back and pull those questions, Byron and Mitchell and Dave, and we will get those answered for you on the next show. But thank you for tuning in On the Spot with David Rodgers. God bless you guys. We love you. But I do want to leave you with this. Symptoms for the coronavirus. People may be sick with the virus for 1 to 14 days before developing symptoms. The most common symptoms of the coronavirus are fever, tiredness, and dry cough. Most people, about 80%, recover from the disease without needing special treatment. More rarely, the disease can be serious and even fatal. Older people and people with other medical conditions, such as asthma, diabetes, or heart disease, may be more vulnerable to become severely ill.
Cancer patients.
People may experience cough, fever, tiredness, and difficult breathing in severe cases. Prevention. You see this sign all the time with the hand up. Stay home. Saves lives. Stay home as much as you can. Keep a safe distance between each other. Wash hands often. Cover your cough. And if you're sick, call ahead to your medical person, to your doctor, to whoever, and tell them that you're sick. Don't just come in there and say that you're sick.
They can tell you the difference between a sinus infection and COVID-19 from the symptoms you have.
Right.
Trust me,
Yep.
I was led in a doctor's office about 2 weeks ago for a sinus infection because I told them exactly what it was and what was going on.
Right.
And because I had those symptoms, they let me come into that doctor's office.
There's no current vaccine to prevent the coronavirus disease, even though you heard Byron and us say
not a vaccine.
That's correct.
It's not a vaccine.
It is not. So there's some things that they're trying to look at that hopefully will work. We'll give you that information as the CDC releases it, and we get it as well. You can protect yourself and help protect spreading the virus to others if you do. Wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds with soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub. Cover your nose and mouth with a disposable tissue or flexed elbow when you cough or sneeze.
So you do it 4 or 5 times.
Exactly, and I've touched my face just like I did. Exactly, mine too. Avoid close contact, 1 meter or 3 feet, with people who are unwell, probably more than that. Stay home and self-isolate from others in the household if you feel sick. Don't, which I've done tonight 54,000 times. I'm the world's worst violator. Don't touch your what, Byron?
Your face.
Eyes, nose, or mouth. If your hands are not clean,
Your
and even if they're
face.
clean, you shouldn't touch it anyway.
Don't even add all of that.
No,
Your face. Do
period.
not touch your face.
So,
Touched my face again.
all right. If for self-care, if you have mild symptoms, stay at home until you've recovered. You can relieve your symptoms if you rest and sleep well, keep warm, drink plenty of liquids, use a room humidifier, or take a hot shower to help ease a sore throat and cough. So, and that's
If you live
definitely.
alone, if you live alone,
Yes.
what Mr. Donald Stevens was saying, if you live alone, make sure that somebody knows you're at home and you're
Correct.
sick like that, because this one can turn pretty rapidly into
Yes, it can.
deathly ill, needing to be transported to the hospital.
Medical treatments. If you develop a cough, a fever, a cough, and have difficult breathing, promptly seek medical care. Call in advance and tell your health provider, whoever that is, of any recent travel or any recent contact with travelers, and give them a heads up of what's going on.
Right, and one thing I want to mention while you were talking about that, a lot of the patients are saying when they lay down, they start feeling better, but actually when they get back up,
worse.
it's worse,
Worse.
because what it's doing, it's settling in
The
your lungs.
Yes.
And
the
it's
fluid
settling,
starts to settle in
so,
your lungs.
and you will
Yes.
actually feel worse afterwards.
Well,
Yes.
it's
So-
not really the COVID-19 that kills you. It's
No.
the pneumonia from the
Right.
COVID-19
Right.
that kills you, because
Your lungs filling up with water.
Right.
what it does is we need to post that video.
We are going to post that
Now,
video.
before we do that, I want to apologize to everyone for the language in it.
Yes.
But this guy tells you straight up he is a medical doctor. He
From the
actually-
Texas A&M University.
actually shows you his degree. This is not somebody that just
Both
walked off the
degrees,
street.
Byron Bagwell.
Both of them. You're right. He shows both degrees, and he explains how this attacks the body. And it's very interesting to hear him describe this. It's long. It's 30 minutes long. But if you really want to know how this works, you
He
need to
breaks
watch
it down in layman's
watch this.
terms.
He does.
He really does, so
Guys,
you can understand it.
It's a great video.
It is, and
It
we'll
really
post
is.
that.
And,
All
and
right.
Dr.
Mr.
Oz is posting a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, by the way, for our old government teacher for posting that. He's the one where I found
Yes,
it. And
exactly
that's Mr.
right, Ms. Ronnie Harris.
Thank you so much for posting that up.
Real quick. Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
I'd like to say also that the mask, they're letting people know that
it is important to wear the mask. Although it's not 100% protection, it's better than nothing.
Right.
Correct.
Going outside in the woods for a few days is more protection.
Here is the thing about this. If you are keeping yourself socially distanced and you are washing your hands, please wash your hands after you go places and touch things. That hand sanitizer is great for a bridge between the time if you're getting in your vehicle and you're having to do that and you didn't bring gloves, it's great for that. Please wash your hands.
Yeah. And Byron has even said it before. Soap and water actually works better than this.
A whole lot better than this. A whole lot better than that. What you can do is first off, try not to be around a large group of people. There are some necessities that you can do, and there are things you can still do, and go have a good time. You know, have a couple of your friends that you know is not sick. You know, go sit by a fire. Well, you can't do that either. I keep on saying that. There's burn bans in both counties that we live in. So, or go fishing with them as long as you're distancing yourself and nobody's hacking and sneezing and coughing on you.
I have seen this repeatedly in public.
That was
People are
false.
wearing gloves to protect themselves.
Throw them in the ground.
They're eating food wearing the gloves.
Or they throw them on the ground. Yeah.
God. Look, guys, everything that you touch, those gloves pick up the germs from.
I want to
Okay,
mention
one more time. I'm going to explain this. When you get finished going places with those gloves, before you get in your vehicle, because if you get in your vehicle with this,
And you touch that steering wheel.
and you open the door handle,
Yeah, right.
and you touch the keys, and you turn it on, you're putting those germs that come off of those gloves onto your vehicle. Take one hand, take one glove, reach up there, try not to touch your wrist, grab a hold of it, turn the glove inside out,
back.
and pull it off. Your hands now, you've got one hand that's exposed now. Take the inside of the glove that you just took off, which is going to be the part that's outside. Grab a hold of it, put it underneath the other glove, and pull the other glove directly off the same way that you just did the first glove. Take those gloves. Do not drop them on the ground. Take those gloves, put them in a garbage can. Then, if you want to use hand sanitizer, you can, which I would recommend. Hand sanitizer up, open your door, crank your car up, and go home.
Right.
There's other things you need to do if you're buying groceries, like wipe them down with wipes. You can do that too.
A lot of people doing that. So.
I mean, but guys, look, if you're eating with a pair of latex gloves on that you've been walking around touching stuff, you're giving yourself everything that you've touched. And I'm going to tell you, COVID-19 is bad. But there is some stuff out there that you can touch in a store that has metal in it that will kill you a lot faster than COVID-19 ever thought about doing.
Yeah.
If you eat it. Please don't do that. That is not good.
No.
I want to bring up something that Dave was talking about. There had been a lot of stories going around on Facebook that you wasn't allowed to go fishing, that the Florida game wardens had shut down all the ramps and stuff. That is false. You still can go fishing. Your vessel can have up to 10 people on it, but you will have to stay over 50 feet away from other vessels. While you're out there.
Yeah.
And another thing,
Common sense.
I want to mention, you're tying up, people are tying up, or police officers are having to run around and go to these places where people are burning leaves and trash in their yards.
stop.
There is a burn ban in Bradford and in Clay.
Yes, there is.
Please, you're wasting our officers' time because they're having to come out there to tell you that you cannot burn. Now, this is very known. It's been all over Facebook, and we've talked about it plenty of times. So please, don't burn and tie up these officers where they have to come out there and tell you to put the fire out.
Yeah, if we have to do that, ladies and gentlemen, that means, first of all, you haven't been listening to anything that any of us have said, because we've spent this, I don't know how many times. Even Chuck Kramer on 106.3 says, so if you're listening to us, you're listening to the radio, you're reading the paper, you're hearing it from other officers, there is a burn ban effect, and that also is to include Baker County. I know Baker County has a burn ban in effect as well.
Do you know how you solve that? I'll tell you how you solve that really, really quickly. What you do is you figure out the cost of every single minute that the first responders have to come
And that's
into
your fine.
house. And that's your fine.
And it may get that way if people
may.
don't start listening.
Look.
And you know what? And if you're outside and you see your neighbor burning, hey, you might want to say, "Hey, neighbor, I want to let you know
Right.
Burn ban.
there's a burn ban in place, and if they see smoke, they're going to come riding around. They're going to look, and they're going to say, "Hey, you got to put your fire out."
You're wasting their time.
Let them know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. God bless you. I'm going to go around the table really quick. To my left, our historian, governmental whiz, Byron Bagwell. I'm going to give you a final thought real quick.
My final thought
Yes, sir.
is we need to be really careful with our personal liberties, our freedoms right now, because we're at a point now where there are a whole lot of
We're at a
people-
crossroads.
Well, we're at a point where a whole lot of people are relying on our government to take care of us.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's not what our government was supposed to do with stuff like this.
Right.
Just not. I mean, they're supposed to help, but they're not supposed to take care of us.
And that's what I meant by crossroads right there. Yeah.
You want to know what socialism looks like? Take a look at what's going on right now,
now.
because if it ever happens here, this is exactly what it's going to look like every day.
Right. All right, Mr. Austin Stevens.
Protect your personal liberties.
How about it? Final thoughts. First of all, give me a weather report and then final thoughts. Real quick on the weather. Just give us an update really quick.
Currently, as of right now, as we are live streaming this, it is, as of my station, it is 71 degrees Fahrenheit with 47% humidity still at 9 o'clock at night with dew point of 50. I am currently working on a forecast map for the hurricane season of where the highest levels that you can expect any hurricane formation, tropical storms, and that Austin's Wester's phone number is 904-203-8946. Anything you have for On the Spot with David Rodgers, I can forward that stuff to him for On the Spot. That phone number also receives text messages, not just phone calls.
All right. Final thought. Anything else?
Nothing else. Just stop. No one needs to be burning. We have humidity values of like 15 to 25%. Even if we get rain tomorrow, or if we get rain at all this week, it is still too dry. We are 2 inches below average. I don't want anyone burning.
Thank you, Austin. Very good report. How about it, Mr. Dave Holland, going around to you, our executive producer here, Mr. Dave Holland. Final thoughts.
Well, it's natural for people to have this fear in them under the conditions that our country's going through right now, and that's natural. But control that fear.
Step back and just
Step back and be cautious.
Just right.
What he's saying is when you're panicking, you
Right.
make mistakes.
Correct.
Correct.
So he's saying be careful with what you do.
Right. That's
Thank you,
exactly
Byron.
right.
Exactly.
What about it, Mitchell Gunner?
Well, I have been told that people are still going to Walmart and Winn-Dixie during the time that is allowed for our senior citizens to go in there and shop. So please pass that on. Those hours are there for those senior citizens. And I tell you what I'm going to do. If I see it come Monday that is still going on, I will call the managers of both those stores, Walmart and Winn-Dixie. I will tell them they will have to start controlling the problem at the door. If they don't like it, I will turn it over to law enforcement. And if I have to go other than that, I will talk to my state representatives about posting National Guardsmen at those doors to keep the people out and let those senior citizens go in there and get what they need.
Because they're the most vulnerable.
You don't have to go that
No.
far. I'm sure we can find about 10 or 12 people that are
Absolutely.
at home from work.
Yep.
That can go up there and keep these people from going
Exactly.
in Walmart.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're only talking
I'll
about
be glad.
an hour.
I mean,
You're talking 1 hour out of the
1
day.
hour to let them go in and get their stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a lifetime that you got to wait. 1 hour. Whoopie-doo, guess what? When you get there, there's probably going to be a line anyway because they're only supposed to allow so many people in the store per square footage. And I'll tell you another place that I seen this happening today, that they was not abiding by the rules, and that was at Ace Hardware in Keystone Heights.
Yeah.
The place was daggum packed with people. They were all inside, and there was way too many people per the square foot of the store. We got to start thinking and doing what we're supposed to be doing to be respectful for others and keep the spread of this from happening to other people.
It's really pretty simple. If you see that
Yeah.
happening, turn around and go back home.
Right.
And then come back when there's not as many people in there, so you don't catch this mess.
And I know what people's doing. People's like, well, I'm having to stay home. I want to go buy stuff from Ace Hardware, which that's fine. Go buy your stuff from Ace Hardware. Work on your house. Keep the economy going by buying stuff. But please, let's start abiding by these rules that are set in place for our safety.
Also, I'm just my final thoughts right here, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great show. I want to thank Mr. Byron Bagwell. I want to thank Mr. Austin Stevens. I want to thank Mr. Michael Heater, Mr. Dave Holland, Mr. Mitchell Gunner. I'm your host, David Rodgers. Final thought, couple of things. I've said this 14,000 times, and I'm going to keep saying it. The most precious commodity that any of us have is time. Please use this time that you have right now to fix things, problems that may be going on in your household, things that may be going on with your kids. Give your kids some attention. Give them some love, because eventually, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to all resolve itself, and we're going to go back to our everyday busy lives, and you're going to wish that you had some of this time back. So please use this time wisely. Also, please practice what? Social distancing. I know we're a little apart, but please practice social distancing. Abide the rules of your city, your county, and your state. Don't give anybody any problems. Just do what you're supposed to do. The sooner that we do these things, the sooner we're probably going to be able to resolve this COVID-19 case, and we'll get back to normalcy. So please do what we're asking you to do, and that's coming from our show, our opinions, and what your government is asking you to do.
Right, and if not, you know what's going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have curfews
Yes, you
set
are.
in place for every county, and it's already starting.
Yes, it has. Yes,
and
it has.
I'll tell you what, if you're out and about in Lake City,
Yep.
you will be fined if
Yes, you
you're
will.
not going to a place where you're supposed to be going. They will fine you.
So on behalf of the staff tonight, we want to absolutely thank our Sheriff, Gordon Smith, and the entire Sheriff's Office for their hospitality, allowing us access to this awesome venue to bring you the latest every week, Tuesdays and Saturday nights. And thanks for tonight's show sponsor. Look at there. Dependable Waste Services and Jamie Clemens. And join us next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for another On the Spot. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend and a great start of the week.
Good night, boys.
How about it, boys, right here? Yeah. On the Spot on 3. 1, 2, 3. On the Spot.